She pulls herself onto the bed and lays on her back. Pulling the hoodie up, she decides it's time to finally see if it had all been in her head or not. Her skin was tinted red, her jeans stained from the blood. Had no one seen that? The fact that no one actually said anything made her think it wasn't real. Her finger traces the inside of the wound, following it from its start on her hip bone up to just beneath her breast, just slightly out onto her back, and then back again to where she began. She had forgotten how her bones felt, how hot her flesh was. The pulsating of her intestines was a new sensation. Had it been this big before, or had she just repressed the thought of bloody fingertips reaching out from bruising, beating, oozing flesh? For a while she just lays there, thinking, curious as to what was starting the split again. Was it because of him? Despite how hard she tried to think of him when she last saw him years ago, happy at the movies with his hair dyed a pale blue color, misery crept into the memory. Suddenly, she could see him lying there, wrists split down the center, and then he was hanging from the shower, the rafters, chair tipped over beneath him, and then he was foaming from the mouth, eyes glossed over with a pill bottle or needle in hand. How miserable the unknown was. If she had known how he had done it, her mind could only wander so far, but she didn't know. They never released the details of a suicide in her experience. Maybe that was why it came back. Because she would never know. After some time, she gets up, closes her door, shuts her blinds, and turns her music really very loud. She puts a playlist called Happy Hits on, to be specific. That way, if her roommates came by, they wouldn't be able to tell what she was doing. She pulls the flat sheet from her bed and goes to sit at her desk. She'd already stained its off-white pattern from bleeding and never really slept under it anyway. Her phone dings. It was one of her friends asking if she was okay. She responded that she was, but was just going through it at the moment. Not entirely false. She was going through it at the moment. She strips down her panties so that there wouldn't be more blood dripped onto her clothes. Taking one of her dry erase markers, she didn't have any regular markers. She holds the linen to her side, traces her wound, and cuts a piece out to size. She tears another strip to gag herself with, ready for the agony. First, she takes a bottle of rubbing alcohol from her drawer and pours it down her side. Her teeth feel like they're gonna shatter from how tightly she's biting down. She doubles over in pain, gasping for breath. She forgot how much that hurt. Then she grabs a miniature sewing kit meant for little tears in sweaters or leggings or whatever. Not for stitches through flesh, that was for sure. She takes a lighter to the needle. Heat clean tools to an extent, right? Or maybe she was confusing that with cauterizing a wound. Didn't matter. It was probably going to get infected regardless, so if it wasn't sterile, it wouldn't make a difference. She picks a spool of thread with a soft pink color. It blends in with her bruised and bloody flesh, along with the roses from her bedsheet. Quietly, carefully, she stitches the fabric into her flesh. Most of the playlist she had put on had been absolute shit, but this song she liked. Reminded her of when she would do talent shows and things of the sort. She sings along, breathy and tense to take her mind off the pain. That way she could vocalize it without raising concern. And I never wanted anything from you. The fabric was sticking to her inside. She'd probably have to add a second layer of fabric if she wanted it to last. Except everything you had and what was left after that, too. Her hands are shaking wildly. The needle struggled through her rotting flesh and eased through the sheet. Happiness hit her like a bullet in the back. The second layer of fabric hurt more than the first. She had hoped it would be the opposite. She puts the remnants of the sheet into a lump in the back of her closet in case she would need it again. The bloodied clothes are shoved into her laundry bag.